Welcome to the B-Sides and Beers podcast.
Welcome to B-Sides and Beers, episode 42. Tonight we're digging into our top albums of 1980. How's it going, guys?
Yeah, man. Good.
Radical. Is that the is that decade appropriate?
Tubular.
Radical. Gag me with a spoon.
The greatest year of all time.
Yep.
Of course.
Birthed at least three legends.
Of course. I mean, and produced an unbelievable lineup of albums that is very difficult to choose from.
Yep.
No kidding.
It's really, where do you start? Genre base, or it's kind of, and we talked about, trying to pick three each, and then it came down to, okay, we should do five each, because who knows if we're going to overlap and run out or what. There's just too many options with this. So
yeah, and we just want to keep it a secret between each other too, because that's what makes it fun.
Yep.
Because we don't know what you got, what you're holding behind the cards. But let me just take a second to tell everybody though too that we need you to share this, and we need you to get this out there. We mention this every episode, but it's on purpose so that we can keep pushing it. So share it, like it, spread it around. Thank you for your support. We appreciate it. What are we drinking, boys?
Should I start?
If you want to, sure.
Yeah, I've got a Driftwood IPA. It is Raised by Wolves. Oh yeah, there you go. I've got my background blur on, so it's blurring everything.
It's blur. I can't see, man.
Awesome. Whoa. Oh, there it is. Oh yeah,
yeah.
I've seen that. Yes, I have not had one yet, but I've seen it.
Oh, it's delicious. It is like a smack you in the face, like West Coast IPA. What are we at here? I think we're at like somewhere around a 7%. Does the job.
That'll do it, definitely.
Yeah.
Driftwood is Victoria?
I believe so. Let me see here. Brewed in Victoria, BC. You got it.
Okay.
You got it.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah. And
Nice.
then I've been just completely loving these Squirrel Chaser Hazy Pale Ale by Yellow Dog. And Yellow Dog's Port Moody.
Yeah.
And this is like a 5.2. Like, I've been drinking a lot of pale ales, especially hazy ones, and this one is just like, it's so good. It's really like they've nailed it.
Awesome.
And pretty much
Nice.
everything by Yellow Dog is really good.
There's lots of good breweries out there.
Yeah, definitely.
When we've started kind of rounding them all up and figuring out all the ones that we've drank over the last year and a half, there's been a lot of samples that have happened, and there's been a lot of good ones, right? Like way more good ones than bad ones.
I think there's only been one bad one.
One bad review of all time. Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's been lots. I'll jump in. I've been sticking with the house sound lately. I don't know what it is, but they've been having stuff that's been catching my eye. So I got the limited edition, the robust raspberry porter.
All right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And that is 6.5%. And it is a robust porter fermented with raspberries, providing a balanced acidity to offset the rich malt profile. Out of Squamish, BC, it does contain gluten. Thank you very much.
Didn't you have a raspberry one last time? You had a raspberry
Yes, I
something
did.
and a banana something.
Yes, I did. Yeah, there was the raspberry cream ale, the jam, the raspberry jam. Yeah. So
You like the berry beers, man.
I do.
I was listening to, I believe it was the extravaganza, the 1 year extravaganza episode.
Mhm.
And you had a beer that was like purple.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
We
yeah.
got on a
The
tangent
Whistler
about,
beer.
Yeah, we got on a tangent about the Kool-Aid band.
Yeah,
Good one.
absolutely. Yeah, I do love them. And on that, well, this is not berry, but I'm drinking out of the Tin Whistle out of Penticton, BC, the peach cream ale.
Nice.
A
Oh yeah.
luscious peach aroma with a light peach taste makes this beer a taste of the South Okanagan. It's fantastic. And to finish it all up, I'm drinking a Mosaic Meta. This is from Bones Brewing Company, and I've had Bones before.
Yeah.
But I haven't had the IPA. And this is this is a 6.5%. It said Mosaic dominates the palate with a medley of mango, pineapple, and blueberry notes, fully West Coast by design. And that is out of Victoria, BC. There you go.
Right on.
Cool.
That's what I got.
Cool.
Michael?
Well, I've going back to our last episode where you were talking about different foods and a food of the day. What were we, or food of the month, and I had mentioned donuts, the donut
Yeah.
day or whatever, International Donut Day or something. So after that, I walked into one of my local liquor stores and I found a limited edition 12-pack, so a dozen donuts. So it's from Rad Racer, and it is a donut themed pack. So there's 4 different offerings in there. So times 3 makes you 12-pack. The first one is a honey cruller lager.
Oh, that
And
sounds amazing.
It's pretty damn good. So it says it's their Red Racer Honey Cruller Lager is our refreshing lager, light, crisp body with honey for a hint of sweetness. So that's the first one. The second one is a raspberry jelly donut.
Oh, a sour.
It's a sour. Yeah. So it's a raspberry jelly sour. And yeah, so this is jelly sour is our kettle sour brewed with raspberry puree making it full of juicy fruit flavor.
I'm just thinking of like a bunch of cops sitting in the back of the cop car just drinking, drinking donut beer, man.
It's funny too because the box that it came in is very much like a box that you would get at a donut shop for a dozen donuts, and how the side opens up. It kind of opens similar to that. It's pretty cool.
It's a good idea. It's a good idea. Yeah,
totally, man. And it stands out, and it's yeah. The other one here is a chocolate dip stout.
Oh yeah, that one looks good.
Yeah, this one's pretty solid. I think this is the one that is the closest that I've found. It's not quite as good, but it's the closest that I've found to Cranog's Backhand of God.
Backhand of God.
So it's very similar, not the same, but similar. So let's see. Chocolate dip stout is our traditional stout brewed with roasted malt and coca nibs.
Coca nibs.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
And the last one is a Boston cream ale.
Oh
Nice.
Yeah, and this one's really good too. So
probably the greatest donut that exists
ever.
Oh, are you on board with the Boston cream donut?
Totally, man. Come on.
Nice. Okay. All right.
Nothing quite like having a Sam Adams Boston Lager and a Boston cream donut while you're watching a Boston Bruins game.
And listen to the Dropkick Murphys.
And listen to Dropkick Murphys. Yep.
Nice. Is that the end of the pack? Sorry.
That's it. That's all.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah,
I like that
it's
idea.
It's a solid offering, and it's a really cool idea. So
Yeah.
marketing wise. So it's donut day for me. Woohoo!
Have you guys ever gotten any of those like advent calendars, like beer advent calendars?
No, but I
they
just
look
saw
awesome.
one today online that I'm thinking of ordering. So
Yeah. Like, I mean, that's a lot of beer, but I guess
That's
you don't
okay.
have to all drink it at once, but a beer a day, I guess.
never goes
Keeps
to waste.
The doctor away.
Never goes to waste.
1980, man. 1980.
Yeah.
Where were you? Where were you in 1980?
It all depends on the month.
What hospital were you
I
born
could have
at?
been here. I could have not been.
What?
The hell was it called? I don't remember, man.
You don't?
I was new. No. Shit,
I'll
I
give
don't
you a
remember.
second.
I haven't been to Edmonton in so long that it seems like a distant dream, like it never happened. So
Dane, do you remember the hospital you were born at?
Yeah, I fucking remember that day. It was crazy,
like it was
man.
yesterday.
U of A. U of A.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Apparently it was a storm going on, like lots of thunder and lightning, like Frankenstein style, and popped out at like 15 minutes after 12 o'clock, 4th of July, 1980.
2 minutes to midnight.
Ow! Yeah.
Nice.
And you?
I was born at the General Hospital, but they tore it down.
Where was the General Hospital?
On
That's
TV.
downtown. Yeah, downtown.
Okay.
Like right. It's right, like almost by the corner of Jasper Ave. Like right. There's. Anyways, it's tough to explain it. I don't remember the cross street, but there's it's like a medical building there now, but that's where they used to be, but they tore it down. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't even know if I saw it. Like it got torn down shortly after I was born there, I think.
Oh man, that must have been interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't even know. Like we didn't live downtown. So I don't know why we went downtown.
It was the General. There was nothing else. Well, I guess like
Maybe.
we're born in the same year, so I don't know.
October 14th, 1980.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Mike, you are a mystery birth. A mystery.
I know the day. I know the day.
Under the bridge.
Under the bridge. No, was it
downtown?
Royal? I don't even remember, man. Royal Alexandra, maybe? That must have been it. Kingsway?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. That must have been the closest one. That was the closest one because I was northeast.
Yeah, that probably would have been it.
Yeah, that would have been it because I was northeast, born and raised.
So have you guys ever met someone born same year, same day, same hospital?
Same year, day before.
Day before?
Yeah, buddy of mine for like 30 years now almost. He's exactly 1 day older. So that's kind of crazy.
Right on.
And same hospital?
I don't think it was the same hospital, but
okay. Yeah, no, I don't have anybody that was born in, I don't know anybody else that was born in that hospital. Makes me think that it didn't even exist.
Yep. It was just you. You came out of a petri dish in a lab somewhere.
I don't know. Maybe, man. Yeah.
In the quote unquote
X-Men.
hospital. Yep.
X-Men style.
It's crazy. It's crazy now when you think about how it must have been 40 some odd years ago. I mean, it must have been terrifying. Or maybe not. Maybe like you're in the hallway smoking a cigarette, just like
No, man.
chilled out.
And your interest rate on your mortgage is like 25%.
Right?
Right?
Yeah.
In 1980, right? Like insane. Yeah. But the albums that came out of this year are just why we're here. This is what we're talking about. And who wants to go first? I guess we're going to take a spin around these, just our favorites, maybe most impactful.
Okay.
Yeah. So who wants to go first? Because
well, I'm going to jump in. And right off the bat, I'm going to go with Black Sabbath, Heaven and Hell.
Oh, I just listened to it today, man.
It's so good, man.
Yes.
So good. Their 9th studio album, first album with Ronnie James Dio.
Yeah.
Barely a year after Ozzy was fired, and same year as his solo album release. So yeah, and going from Black Sabbath with Ozzy to Black Sabbath Dio, it was a very different. It was a big change. You still look at Tony Iommi. He was the riff guy, and just looking at it from a guitar player standpoint, his riffs changed a lot, and it was just a new direction. I mean, when you go from these really dark, occult, drug oriented songs to knights and sword and sorcery and riding tigers and Dio, it's a completely different show. So
I like the Dio Black Sabbath.
Love it.
It's
I don't know.
It's fun.
Yeah, I don't know. It just has a different vibe. Well, it does have a totally different vibe to it, and that album starts off like it kind of sets the whole tone right off the bat with that first track, right? And it's just
when Neon Night kicks in, it's so good, and it's
what you're in for
right off the start. It's off to the races, like you can imagine it's something out of a Conan movie or whatever, where he's riding a horse through a huge field to get to some mountains to battle, whatever. And it's so cool. And and when you look at Heaven and Hell, and then you look at the follow up with Mob Rules, it's very cool how it just progresses to an even greater level, even within a year. So
good pick, man.
Yeah. Excellent. So this is most of my picks here were things that I was raised with and that influenced me in my musical path, creating wise, guitar wise, that sort of thing. So,
did your pops have that on vinyl?
Yes.
Do you now have it on vinyl?
I don't have Heaven and Hell. I think the only Dio one I have is Mob Rules on vinyl.
Oh, yeah.
And then the rest of it, it's pretty well all Aussie. But I've had the cassettes, and I've listened to it on 8-track and listened to it on I've owned the CDs and on. So yeah. So that's my first pick.
All right, can I follow you up then?
Most def.
Blizzard of Oz, man. That was a big fuck you to Black Sabbath, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That was number one on my list, and I thought I'd duck that one just because I knew someone else was going to grab it. So,
well, thank you very much.
This is like a draft pick. This is like the draft.
Right? Yeah, the big rock
taken off the board
draft.
Yeah, this one is like, okay, Mr. Crowley. That one's been burned in my head. I don't know why, but it's just not a Black Sabbath song. I remember like one of my uncles giving me this like tape, I guess, when I was younger. And Mr. Crowley was like the song from this album that I remember the most. And of course, like Crazy Train, right? Like that's the one that everyone knows.
Yeah.
It's like Randy Rhoads, just amazing. Like now it's a different Ozzy, right? It's fast, super fast guitar playing, kind of like maybe a little thrash. I don't know how you would.
Definitely, there's elements for sure.
Yeah, but just I don't know if it's the lifestyle of Ozzy. I think it's sort of like kind of like is a good soundtrack to where he was at that time.
Yeah,
when I kicked out of Black Sabbath and just
dragged out of a drunken drug near death stupor from Sharon, and her becoming his manager and kicking him into another gear and dragging him into this new band and new lineup and new songs and pushing his career, because it was done after Sabbath. If
Yeah,
and if they didn't meet Randy Rhoads, his career would have been over, I think. So
I think you're right. Yeah, I definitely think Randy Rhoads was supporting him on this, but I mean, through and through, the album's pretty good. I like it. I mean, Suicide Solution, that was the one that like he got some controversy over. I think he go to court because of that one.
yeah, so there was a killing, and I guess the guy that did it had this album, and I don't know. I heard it was like he had this album. He had like an AC/DC hat, and he had so all these bands started getting AC/DC blamed for it, right? So
I thought like it was some kid who killed himself, and in the note he was like,
oh yeah, that was it.
Yeah, it was something like that. And then this was sort of when the occult was becoming like a thing, and he really jumped on the bandwagon of like this weird werewolf kind of like crazy Ozzy Osbourne guy. Like he took on this other persona, I think, where in Black Sabbath it was just kind of like dark, but there was no like Hollywood behind it, where now he's like embracing Hollywood and being like a little crazy. So,
and still one of the most terrifying album covers.
Oh god.
I think
love it.
Like
so
every
much.
time I see it, it's just like, oh wow. I kind of forget. Yeah.
You got the cape. It's like red, and then he's holding a cross, and he's in an attic. I mean,
there's
knows?
so much going on. There's
Some
like a
smoke
cat.
in the background.
Yeah.
Scary. 1980s scary.
Wizard of Oz.
So good. And I always thought it was really cool too. I mean, going back to saying, without Randy Rhoads, Ozzy's career would have been over. I mean, when you look at this as his debut album, his debut solo album, and track 4 is D, it's just a guitar solo, like sorry, not even a solo, a composition, like a classical composition done by Randy Rhoads. And who does that on any album, really?
Well, Sabbath did a lot of that, though. They did a lot of sort of like contrast of classical in the beginning, and then like
definitely, but to bring in a brand new guitar player to a brand new project and give him his own composition song on this, like a feature, is super cool. And I can't really think of another band that has done anything similar. So
fair enough.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So there you go. And like you can't ignore the title of the album, right? Like A Blizzard, right? Like obviously that like Ozzy was like knee deep in cocaine. And I don't know. It's just interesting how he just took what could have been a complete disaster of a career and just turned it around.
Yep.
And kept it going.
Oh man, yeah.
Well, It was, I still think it's all Sharon that's walking him through all the steps from day one. I mean, he's been such a mess for so long. He's, he needs a handler. So
definitely. Absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, it worked out for him. So
still, it still is. I don't know what kind of shape he's in these days. I haven't heard. I heard he was in kind of rough shape there for a bit, but then I haven't heard anything else.
I think he's taken like I heard he's got Parkinson's disease, which is, when you actually think about it, no surprise.
Yeah.
But I think he's not doing so good. Like he's probably not touring right now, I would imagine. Probably not.
Well, he's just putting out a new album here. He's got
right.
He's putting a new album. He's got Zakk Wylde on it, coming back, and he's got Eric Clapton and
it's like
Tony Iommi is going to be on it. And
okay, so he's fine then. I didn't think he was doing anything.
I don't know if he's going to tour, but he's definitely put down the tracks.
How these guys make money? Like they got a tour, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. But there you go.
I'm a good pick, gents. I'm gonna flip it on its head now, and we went from Black Sabbath to Ozzy Osbourne, and I'm going with Talking Heads. Remain in Light. That's my pick. And I learned quite a bit when I was doing a little more digging in this, and we lost Mike, man.
Oh, boop, boop.
Oh, well, my pick.
Yeah, it's your pick,
okay,
man.
pick.
Back from a internet intermission with crashing cable internet, and yeah, so fun.
Solar
Here we go.
flares, man. Blame it
Solar
on solar
flares.
flares.
Yeah, UFOs.
You need the anti-skip internet. That's what you needed.
Oh man, that's the new one.
Anti-skip.
Yeah, it is.
That's the new one.
You remember that
12
shit?
second.
Like your Discman, like you could like knock it a little bit. and
Those
it would
things
be
were
fine.
awful.
Not much. Yeah, if you had the Panasonic, the yellow one, that was pretty good. It was
Is
like
that the
20
one with the
seconds.
clips, like the sealed, like you could go in the shower with it, maybe? if you
That's
wanted
it.
to?
Yeah. You could do that. That's funny. That's the Walkman came out in 1980. So there you
The
go.
big yellow one. Yeah.
The big, yeah.
It's funny. I didn't bother with the portable Discman deals. I stayed with cassette until probably 90, 99. I mean, I had CDs, but not the Discman. So
That's dedication, man. I had a CD player just even in the hallways of my high school. I had one.
yeah, we had that too.
Yeah.
We had the ghetto blaster in the lockers and whatnot, but I just never got the portable deal. So
Yeah. Talking Heads, Remain in Light. That's my
I
pick.
knew you were going to take that one.
Yeah, man. I had to.
I knew it.
This is cool because this was the first Talking Heads like album that I ever heard, and the first song is just blows your face right off. It's so good. And I learned that Brian Eno was the producer on this album, and the bass player and the drummer were married, and they at the end of their last tour they went to the Bahamas because they wanted to get away from it all, and they were contemplating leaving the band because they thought David Byrne was too controlling, and they thought that Talking Heads was a vehicle just to get his art out, right? So they were thinking about leaving the band, and so all of a sudden they started hanging out with these like kind of Afrobeat musicians, and they started playing, and then all of a sudden David Byrne showed up, and then Brian Eno came in and he said, this is like the album that we're going to use as our backdrop. And it was by this guy called Fela Kuti. And then I went deeper onto this, and it was this 1973 album called Aphrodisiac. And it's just this guy that he's a Nigerian artist. He died in 97, but he was like the pioneer of Afrobeat music. And I had never heard of Afrobeat music.
Oh, really?
No, but I didn't know what it was. Like I've heard of like Afro-Cuban, but I haven't heard of Afrobeat.
Ah, okay. I was just listening to some of that today.
Were you? Okay, yeah. Well,
yeah.
It's like it combines traditional Yoruba percussion, which is, you guys know this, it's like those ones, like those drums that those guys have underneath their arms, and then they have kind of like the spite like mallet that they just hit. Yeah. And it's got that like junk dun 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 dun. It's got that kind of feel to it. And that's what this whole thing, and they mix that with American funk and jazz. And that's where this album came from. Yeah.
Wasn't there elements of disco as well
in this album?
No, in Afrobeat, the genre.
Not that I saw. No, I didn't come across that, but yeah, it's just like, it's crossed with American funk and jazz. So then you put that together, and that's what Remain in Light is. It's just like this funk, kind of dirty, but this Afro beat that's all over it. And David Byrne's just kind of, mumbling and talking underneath it. And somehow it just works. And when you play those albums, the 1973 Aphrodisiac, Fela Kuti, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, and you play Remain in Light right off the bat, it almost sounds, you get it. It's just like, oh, this is what they were going with. Got it. So Remain in Light, I'm going to put it out there, and I'm going to hope that the next album comes around to me and nobody picks it, because it does connect back to this. So hopefully it spins around. So there we go. It's on there.
I'll definitely be staying away from anything Brian Eno, just because I've never really followed them too much. And I mean, aside from maybe one or two songs, I hadn't really thought about them at all until about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. You brought it up.
Yeah.
And you had seen some live video. I know we talked about that before. Was that based on, or did that come from this album, or was that from a later one?
No, that was the previous album. That was the Speaking in Tongues album. So that was, right before it, and that was big. But this was like kind of like their magnus opus. Like this is their big kind of one. If you want to get into the Talking Heads, that this is the one that you start with. And I remember even seeing an interview with Tom York, and he talked about this album and talked about the Talking Heads. And he said, like if there's only one song that he could have, it would be Born Under Punches, the very first song on that album. Because he said, when the first time I heard it, I couldn't believe what they were doing in 1980. And when you actually listen to that first song on headphones, if you listen to nothing else on that album but that first song on headphones, there is so much going on. It is unbelievable. It's just mind-blowing. So if you haven't done so, I highly recommend you do that. So
interesting.
There we go.
I'm just reading here. The artwork was conceived by bassist Tina Weymouth, and drummer Chris France, right? Like you would,
those are the married couple,
exactly. With the help of MIT, and they made it's sort of like
is that how they got the red faces?
Yeah, the pixelated red faces.
Yeah.
So I always
it's an awesome album cover.
Yeah, no doubt. Always kind of like on the sort of cutting edge, right? Like,
yeah, David Byrne's a cool guy, man. He's got a lot of his hand in a lot of pies too. He does a lot of different stuff, but got a lot of respect for that guy. He's pretty cool. So there we go. Spinner back around.
Nice.
Back to the beginning.
Okay, here we go.
What you got?
Let's go with some Van Halen, Women and Children First.
Wow.
Yeah.
I knew you were going to pick that one. If you knew I was going to pick Remain in Light, I knew you were going to pick that one. So
definitely, man. Their third studio album. And, you look back at Van Halen 1 and 2. One was a complete monster when it dropped on the scene, and there's still nothing, in my opinion, that can really touch it. But when you get into Women and Children First, it's full of solid songs, and this is pretty well the first album that they started making money at all.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, when how record deals were, and most likely are still, if you're in that that vein, is basically the record company, when you get signed to a record label, it doesn't mean you've made it. It just means now you have a record label that's going to lend you a couple $1 million so you can put an album. So in that time, they lend you the money because they're just a big bank that has, connections to promotions and stuff. And you go on tour, and basically the majority of the money that you get goes to paying back your debt. So all the album sales pays back the debt. All the tour money pays back the debt. So
royalties work, man.
It's unreal. So I mean, they went through the whole run of their first album and came out with next to nothing. So immediately they had to put out Van Halen 2, and it was a very similar situation because they were still catching ground. And by the third album, they, most of the debts from the first two were kind of starting to get paid off. So to drop this in 80 was so good. And I mean, most of the songs are very solid. I mean, and The Cradle Will Rock, Everybody Wants Some. It's just, Loss of Control. I mean, everything on here is a solid offering. So
right on.
Yeah.
That's that's a topic that came up. Sorry, I'm like going back to the whole how artists were not making money back in the day.
Yep.
And I was just like, okay, this is completely off topic. I'm sorry, but like,
That's what we do.
that's what we do, right?
Chasing
Like,
the topic.
I saw Clapton picture of him wearing the shirt that said "No snow, no show." I've seen it
Yeah.
a couple of times, and like, it's a Saturday afternoon. I'm bored. I'm like, I kind of know what that means, but I want to know what that shirt really meant. And apparently, he was kicking heroin, so he just decided to do cocaine. But
Switch to Coke. Why not?
yeah, he was spending $16,000 a week on heroin. And this is in the 70s, man. Like $16,000 is like a third of a house, half
Yeah.
of a house
Yeah.
a week. No
Yep.
wonder these dudes never made any money.
Well, it still
That's
all comes
like-
from the bank, the quote unquote bank of your record label. I mean, when you look at the first two Black Sabbath albums, there was so much money coming in, and they weren't seeing any of it. I mean, they go out and they buy these big mansions and they do all this other stuff, but all these mansions are in the name of the record label and the bank, and so technically they don't own these things. They're living it up. And it's a matter of keeping the tour train rolling and feed them with as much drugs as they need, and hopefully you can get a couple more albums out of them.
Yeah,
It's just nuts.
I like this album is like it's so quick, right? Like it's just like in and out. I think it's like 30 minutes long too, right? Like
it's super short, man. When you've got Tora Tora that's 57 seconds and everything else is like a quick 2-3 minute. Well, there's a couple that are 5, but
it's
still
like
they don't feel
album.
long.
It's like 28 minutes long kind of thing, right? Like it's just there's something about that too that I just like. Yeah, it was just in and out. Excellent pick. Excellent pick.
Solid one on this one. So
Dane, over to you.
No David Eno albums. You can't pick one.
Brian Eno?
Brian Eno.
Fuck it, I quit.
Fuck.
All right, I got one for you. Permanent Waves.
Oh yeah.
And I think because this one it had the spirit of the radio on it, and like
Russified.
Right?
Russified.
It's so good. If you want to listen to a track that is a progressive rock track, that is the track to listen to. It is awesome. There's so much going on. And like I based this album pick off of that track, which is the first track on that album.
That is my favorite like bass Rush song out of all of them.
Yeah.
I just like the do 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 do. So
and then
good.
it goes into like the reggae beat, and you're like, it's so good. Yep, so good. And
salesman
recorded in that studio, and I forget the name of that video that they shoot, and it's in that studio. It's all glass and there's like snow. The studio's called Le Studio.
Yeah. That was there's a lot of really cool documentaries on that.
Yeah, it's in Quebec. I always thought like that is their house. Like as a kid, I've never seen that.
Rush's house.
Oh my god, that must be like Geddy Lee's like studio in his backyard or something.
Well, it basically was. I mean, the amount of stuff that they recorded there.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's so gorgeous. And for me, like that first track in that studio is Rush. Just like because that's pretty much all we got. I mean, the video. I'm not sure if they did any other videos besides what was the one they did in that studio?
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about. I can't place it though. But
anyway, yeah, I think Spirit of the Radio definitely. I mean, that song was the one that really got me kind of interested in Rush. I had like cousins that were a bit older than me that were, in bands, and one was married to a drummer, and I remember going to their place and they had this giant Rush flag downstairs, and it's like, well, I don't know if I like Rush, but this song, and this was one that you actually heard on the radio, it was just good. It was really like one of those songs that kind of sold me on Rush. So yeah,
well, that's one of those bands I never really got into, and I still I don't know that there's maybe if you take all of their released work, I could probably narrow it down to 10 songs out of their entire body of work that have grabbed me.
yeah.
They've always been super technical, super just I don't know, they have a lot of great songs. I just don't know what, maybe it was Geddy Lee's voice or something that didn't catch me at the time,
Right.
but
Yeah, and that's it. I mean, I think it's like once you get past his voice, and I think his voice really does lend to the music once you listen to
definitely.
like a lot of it.
Definitely.
And the sorry, Dane, the topics that you're referring to that they're speaking about too just sounds like
that's all Neil Peart though. That's like
for sure, but it feels like it should be delivered by a wizard. And
I know.
Right? You should be sitting in your basement playing Dungeons and Dragons, and
but they were kind of wizards. I mean, they were all like on top of their game. This album was all about like finding the correct place. Like right now, it's all like digitals, and you can just get like I'm not sure, Mike T, help me out here. Like you can download a digital file that gives you the correct placement of a mic in front of whatever amplifier you want, like a profiling, whatever.
Oh yeah. So it's all like modeling and profiling, and definitely. So
but these guys were like by millimeter, just like figuring it out, right?
Yeah, and working with proper engineers in the studio that knew how to mic things properly and knew how to set things up, and then you're working with producers that know how to help you craft a song, where now it's far and few between. I mean, it's there, but it's a completely different world. So
yeah, exactly. And on top of that, it was on fucking tape.
Totally. and you had to be good. Like back then, when you were going to record an album, you had to be so good. And if you didn't get it right, you just did it again and again and again. There was not a lot of punch-ins. There was not a lot of quick little fixes and tweaks, because everything just took forever, and you actually had to find the spot where to cut the tape.
Yeah, there was a dude in the background with scissors, like
totally
cutting the shit up and like gluing it back together.
Yeah. And
that then, caliber of music too, right? Like
exactly.
Like you're not starting from the beginning, because I messed up the last run going in out of the chorus. Like okay,
back. Let's start again. Let's do it again. You're trying to catch lightning in a bottle.
Exactly. And when you think about that and how good, and then you just like go back and listen to Rush, and technically how good they are.
Unreal.
Like they're not like the Eagles. They're a band that just like push the boundaries of technical progressive rock and roll. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd like to just come onto this podcast and just say that I do truly dislike the Eagles, not just because of the
Big,
but I do. I hate the Eagles. I'm sorry.
Come on, man.
Like them. I cannot think of. I like Joe Walsh solo stuff. I like Don Henley solo stuff. The Eagles.
I agree with you. My Maserati does
185. So good.
That's my license. Now I don't drive.
Yeah. Desperado. Like, I don't care. I don't care about going down the highway, and I don't care. I don't know. They just nothing about them. Sorry, we're jumping around on the Eagles, but
no, it's cool, man. I mean, Dave Mustaine must feel the same way.
We have not talked about that can in a long time. So
it's been a while. It's been a while.
Megadeth did not come out with an album in 1980, unfortunately. I don't
I
think
know, I
so.
checked.
Poor listeners haven't been mustained in a while. So we
Oh,
just
you've been
Oh yeah, I just
Mustained.
mustained you, man.
You can't get that out.
You got a
can't
little
get that
mustain on your
Mustaine out.
shirt there, buddy.
yeah, you just got mustained.
It's
Anyway.
funny, Dane, that you said Rush though, because I could not sleep and I came downstairs, I turned on the TV, and there was this Rush concert from like 2011 that was on, and I watched the whole thing at like 4:30 in the morning, and it was just great. And you guys have probably seen it. It was like, it kind of looked like they had like dryers going on stage, like, and like washing machines and stuff like that.
I remember that actually.
It's like a time machine
Yeah,
or something like that. Anyway, it's just good still, right? Like even in 2011, they still have it. And Geddy Lee's, playing keyboard with his foot, and,
Right? Yeah.
Going crazy. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
There you go. Permanent Waves.
Good one.
Excellent pick. Okay, well, I'm sorry, I got it. I have to do it. Because just for multiple reasons, but I have to put AC/DC Back in Black on.
Of course you did.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry, man.
It's okay.
It's off the board. It's off the board. And you know what? To be perfectly honest, boys, this is maybe the earliest memory that I have of music, like of putting music on. My folks had this on vinyl, and I remember it, and I remember being drawn to the album cover, and I just remember, something about it. I remember even the sleeve of it. I remember everything about it. All of them were on it, and I didn't know Bon Scott. Obviously, and once I got into AC/DC, I found out later, but this is one of my earliest memories of rock and roll, of music, anything, and I know this is one of the best selling albums of all time. And I think for good reason, because it is a solid front to back offering. When I listen to it again on vinyl, I listen to it again on Spotify, it's just great. And I think, again, Mutt Lange on this album, recording it, and I think going to like Def Leppard, and I think to going to Waking Up the Neighbors, Bryan Adams, and they all have those big sounds, and he is a master at it, and it just works. And the funniest thing, man, is I thought when I was a kid, I thought that Back in Black was the first track on the album. I thought that was side A, and I don't know if there's something about the record that maybe I got messed up.
Your folks always started side 2.
Maybe that's what it was, man, because I don't know. It kind of works better for me as Hell's Bells coming on side 2 as the first track. It almost works better for me.
Yeah.
It almost flows better. You know what I mean? I know I love the beginning of it, but anyways, it's a great album still when I listen to it. And my connection. Aged. Oh, absolutely. Right. Like I put it on now and it sounds great,
Yeah.
And my last thing on this is that going back to Remain in Light, Talking Heads, this album was being recorded at the exact same time in the exact same recording studio, just one studio over.
No shit.
Back in Black in the Bahamas. Whoa. Talking Heads, Remain in Light, and I was like, "Oh yeah, there's the ultimate connection." So Brian Eno's in one side, Mutt Lange and Angus Young, and all the rest of the gang are in there. So yeah,
wow.
But there it is. Yeah, I had to take it off the board. I'm sorry. I don't know if that was anybody else's picks, but it
definitely was. But
yeah, it's just good, man. I don't know what else to say about it. It's a great. It's got to be my favorite AC/DC album. Yeah, even over Bon Scott. I don't know why, but
this is funny. This rings true. I remember I don't know what grade we were in, but I remember you saying like Back in Black. Like you were an AC/DC fan, like in like junior high, if not elementary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's because of that album. Yeah, it's because of that album. It's just, Yeah, from 1980. There you go. There you go. Right from the beginning, right from the cradle. So I've taken it off the board.
Okay.
It's off the board. Here
Well,
we go. One more spin around the sun, gentlemen. Here we go.
Here's my heavy hitter. Here's my heavy hitter. Maybe not for everyone, and it kind of is. If there's one album out of the 24 that they have, this is probably the one that everyone that has heard of this band would know. And
I stepped aside for you on this one too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, so I've been a huge fan of this band forever. I have all the albums. I have tattoos. I have everything based off of this.
Spandau Ballet.
So
Spandau Ballet. I got the tattoos. I got everything.
Cyndi Lauper. No, Motorhead, Ace of Spades.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So this is their fourth album, and yeah, it's solid from front to back. Like pretty well, in my opinion, every Motorhead album has been. I can't name one song that I've ever disliked from them, but it's just the raw energy, the influence on the generations after, basically, for the most part, creating thrash or influencing the thrash bands to create thrash. They were always such a great band that could walk the line between punks and metalheads. And prior to Motorhead, that was not a thing, where, metalheads never listened to punk and punks never listened to metal, and they hated each other and fought. And this is one band that basically the only band that they could agree on. So.
Yeah.
Nice one.
Excellent pick. Yeah, I went through a big Motorhead phase there not that long ago, and I went through them all, just like front to back multiple times. But this album stood out for me amongst them all. But I agree with you. There's not one album where I could say, it was kind of junky. Like it's pretty much solid all the way through from that whole catalog. And does some of it sound the same? Kind of, but at the same time, it's still that same formula, kind of like AC/DC, that just still works every time it comes on. You're like,
that's a good comparison.
Yep, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it just works, right? And it's like comfortable almost. You come back to it and you're like, all right, yeah, you know what you're getting with Motorhead, right? You're not getting very many ballads, and you're not getting, a lot of filler and BS.
He saved those for Ozzy, man. Like,
but there are ballads, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
There are ballads, and yeah, going back to the Ozzy thing. I mean, he wrote Hellraiser, and he wrote Mama, I'm Coming Home.
Mm-hmm. Did he write No More Tears as well?
I don't think he wrote No More Tears.
Oh, I thought he did.
Yeah, no, but he's a lot of the Grammys that he's won have been, for writing hit songs for other artists that you would have no idea that he did. But and being such a wordsmith. I mean, using linking words that nobody else would really think of, just very unique. So.
Well, there's so many lyrics in Motorhead songs, right? Because it's going so fast that he says so much that it's almost like a rap album where you're just like, there's so many lyrics on this.
Yeah.
He's saying so much stuff.
And so solid when you go from, 1977 all the way to 2015. And for the most part, everything they've put out is solid. And right up to his death, they were still, just not far off, still touring. I mean,
yeah.
Oh yeah. Overkill stood out for me. Ace of Spades stood out for me on that whole drive, but even some of the later ones I still enjoyed. Like
Bastards is great. March or Die is great. I love I love 1916. I love, like, it's all good. I mean, Motorizer is great.
I don't listen to any of
Aftershock
the
was cool.
Any of the live albums. I haven't listened to any of those, but
Yeah, no,
like
these are just all the studio albums, but yeah, the live ones are always solid. Yeah, that's easily that top 5 for all-time bands for me. So, and that's a really, really tight list. So
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
There you go.
So that's my
Mike
last
T
one.
approval.
There we
on.
go.
excellent.
All right, boys, you ready for this one?
Mhm.
Let's hear it.
Right. Eagles Live, 1980. It's the first live album by the American rock band the Eagles.
Oh, you're gonna love it. You're gonna
They
love it.
released
man.
it to fulfill a contractual obligation
Desperado.
with release of performances from Hotel California and long run tours. So obviously, this was just like
Oh man.
a great album.
Really about the music.
Ugh.
Really about the music.
5 of the tracks were recorded in October 1976. So they sat on these fucking pieces of shit for 4 years.
I don't know. Give them these ones.
Oh fuck.
Plagued for years by internal strife, the band had reached a breaking point in July 1931, and they decided to release this gem.
Straight from the Wikipedias.
Yeah. Am I alone? I'm sorry. Do you guys like the Eagles? Like, I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't want.
I just don't care. That's the thing. I mean, they're
Okay.
fine. I just don't care.
Okay.
Never cared.
I mean, live, they must be better live than recorded, no?
No, they do the same thing. It's just live.
I think it was
It's
like
just like Hotel California is just one of those songs where it's like if I don't hear it again, it's okay. Like I don't want to do it again.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
even when Stairway comes on, I'll still listen to it.
Yeah.
But when that song comes on, I'm just like, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't.
It was a place and time, right? Like it was.
Yeah.
I think it's all about context.
Yeah.
And like
I
that
don't know.
But-
context does not exist anymore.
Oh
It's too
man.
folky for me. It's too folksy. Like,
Loki.
yeah. And I'll be honest. I've never listened to a full Eagles album through and through. I've never done that. Maybe
Well,
that should be our next
maybe you
Pink
need
Floyd.
to.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
you need
maybe
to do
that's
this,
our next
man.
Pink
You're like
Floyd
the
thing.
scientist of like
You do
albums.
deep dives on all of them,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you haven't even
last
attempted
podcast. You're like,
that.
I listened to Alice Cooper for like 3 weeks straight. It's like,
Well,
no.
there's your challenge. Our challenge is to listen to one Eagles album for 3 weeks straight and see. That's what we do. Oh man,
That's it. I quit.
Yeah.
Screw
What's
you
your
guys.
real pick?
I'm
What's
going
your
home.
real pick? Yeah.
What are you talking about? This is my real fucking pick, man. I wanted to create like a critical, constructive contrast. I mean,
love it.
like, honestly,
You
I
did it.
thought the podcast was tomorrow, not today. So I just pulled this shit out of my ass.
I thought I had one more day.
I thought I had one more day, man. That's the best that could come up.
Oh,
it's
man.
good. It sparks some good conversation. That's a good pick.
Oh,
So there you have it.
Give
okay.
us your thoughts on the Eagles. See what else you think about the Eagles. Because
I just don't, and I'm surprised. There's 2 other albums that did not come up that I thought would have come up from both of you.
What?
So the first one was The Police, Zenyatta Mandata.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think I've ever listened to that
Do
one.
do da da da. You got
Oh, that's
that
a good one,
You
though.
got Don't Stand So Close to Me.
Dun, dun, dun,
Man, there's hits like crazy on this thing.
Oh.
So I'm surprised that was one of my one of my backups in case you guys stole all my good ones, which you almost did, but that's okay.
I think they had a live album that covered a lot of that album.
Yeah.
Which was really good.
Well, that was their third album. So,
yeah.
And the other one that I was going to throw in there is David Bowie's Scary Monsters.
Shit.
I thought that would have been one pick from you guys. So, but I got it on the back burner. So,
yeah.
That was a good listen. I listened to Scary Monsters again there.
So good.
Yeah. It's
Ashes to Ashes in Fashion. So good.
Yeah. It's a totally different, weird album. Yeah. It's great. Yeah.
Well, it was a very cool offering too, because it was the follow up to his Berlin trilogy.
Mm.
So once he puts out these 3, very artsy albums in Low, Heroes, and Lodger, it came down to a point where he had to he had to come up with something more mainstream because he wasn't really making much money off of those 3 albums. So that's why he took this and ran with it. So,
and you can include the Idiot in there too.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, those were the 2 solid contenders that I thought you guys would have thrown out there. But yeah, there we go. 1980 has been done.
Nice.
Solid year, man.
My last, I had 2 left, and my last one was going to be Dirty Mind Prince.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay. Dirty Mind Prince was going to be my pick. Wow, that is another great album. When you put that on front to back, it's just, and you turn it up,
so good.
Oh, fantastic! It's so good. And I read too that in the spring of 1980, for 9 weeks, Prince and his band opened up for Rick James. And I
thought you were going to say
awesome.
Orgasmed.
That too. Oh. God. So
Rick
James, yeah. So, and which was like apparently a big rival for, like, they were rivals, which makes sense, right?
Yep.
And I just I had
Unity.
Unity. And then I was like, then I thought to myself, there's 2 Dave Chappelle characters coming together right there, Prince and Rick James.
And
there
Rick
you go.
James,
There's
bitch.
in the same one. Yeah. But anyways, Rick James, I had to get this quote because after, like, when they were on tour, Rick James said that Prince was, quote, copping my licks.
Yeah.
So he didn't want to tour with him anymore. But anyways, just this album is if you have not listened to this album through and through, it's loaded with hits. It's front to back. Like, there's no Prince ballads in there that you would think of, kind of slow songs. It's just all bangers pretty much from beginning to end.
And it's another super quick one, man. It's another super quick one. Like, they're all super short songs, and there's only 8 on the album. So,
oh yeah, it's almost like EP kind of material, just about, right? Like, it's yeah. But great album. So yeah, that was going to be my number 3, and my number 4 was going to be Glass Houses, Billy Joel, man.
Yeah,
good one.
That one.
Yeah,
I love Billy Joel's good.
Yeah. Especially that album. It's like, that's another banger album too, pretty much front to back, every single one on there. The only song I don't like is the French song that he sings in French, but the rest of it, it's good. It's
some
good.
guy from Jersey singing French.
Singing French. It's strained. It's
makes all the sense.
Yeah, but the whole album is just, it's good, and there's lots of like sound effects in it too, right? Like, it starts with the crashing, the sound of like the glass breaking, because the front cover of the album is him throwing the rock at the glass house. It was like, oh,
it's a dope house too.
Right?
It's just like,
whoa. It's his house. It's his house in like the Hamptons. Yeah, that's back in the day. Yeah. So anyways, yeah, the Glass House is Billy Joel. That was my other pick to go on there. See, it's just a complimenting. We got a little bit of everything in there, right? We got some Black Sabbath, we got some Ozzy, we got some Talking Heads, we got some, it's a little bit of everything. It's good.
Yeah, man.
Different genres.
1980, hell of a year.
How did I was also waiting for some Def Leppard from Dane on through the night.
What? Oh, I don't know. What was that a live album?
No, that was their debut album, man.
Oh shit. Well, I mean, I'm not the biggest Def Leppard fan.
It's all right. It's all right. And the other one that I thought that Flip would throw out is Ted Nugent, Scream Dream.
Scream
Yeah,
Dream.
yeah, that album cover with the
She wango, she tango.
handguns. Yeah.
Don't need to go into any of those. I just figured those would be ones that would come up on your short list.
I saw it.
So.
I saw you. Yeah, we almost see
Wango
like the
tango.
1980s.
Yeah.
The B list on that because there's a few in there that didn't quite make the cut, but I saw them and I'm like, oh yeah, Ted Nugent, man, Scream Dream's in this.
The Nuge.
Yeah. See Wango, see Tango. Yeah. 1980. Excellent year, of course. The finest
indeed.
of all years. The finest of all.
All right, we want you guys to subscribe, share, and review this podcast. Keep it going, keep it strong, because we're having a great time entertaining you guys with B-Sides and Beers podcast.